Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. It's the brother Bayan here to bring you a quick lesson on prior to get started. I want to give infinite honors and prayers to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the hopefully elect, Salakim, Yuakim, Yuakwat, which is your brothers and sisters in the Hebrew that believe. Alright? And this is going to be another fairly quick lesson. And it's going to be on the basis of faith. Your faith is on trial when you are in a lower state, okay? Something around in that matter. But pretty much, in this lesson, we obviously know that, every day, you give your thanks and praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. But again, how much more when, in the time of trouble, okay? Which is expected to happen, which is it's definitely going to happen, this us coming into the end of things, the end of this captivity, the Lord is definitely going to turn, our trials and tribulations up a lot, okay? But when it's all good, it's easy, all right? But again, when the times of trouble, are you still going to maintain, that faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, okay? And obviously, the first example you got to get is Job, okay? And I'm gonna read through probably the majority of this chapter and get a couple of precepts behind it, and pretty much get the lesson, finish off the lesson, something simple. But this is Job 1:6. All right, it says, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord Yahweh, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down it. All right, and the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and sheweth evil." All right, and also to make the point too, which is not a part of the lesson, but it just also always have to be known that that the Lord and Satan is not adversaries of each other. All right, Satan works for the Lord. All right, he's an angel at the end of the day. All right, so they're all together and they're just talking. Talking, and the Lord is giving Satan a task to deal with Job, okay, to test him. All right, but continuing on, it says verse 8 again, "And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and escheweth evil?" All right, Job was an upright man who again, stayed away from evil, escheweth. All right, but it says, "Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught?" It says, "Hast not thou made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the works of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land." All right, and if you really get from the top of the chapter and just read all the way through, you can see that Job was a very wealthy man. Okay, Job was very wealthy with land, cattle, and so on and so forth. And honestly, he was just very blessed. Okay, but continuing on, you're about to start to see the tribulations that Job is about to go through, these trials. All right, and this is why Job was a perfect example, because Job again was somebody who had almost anything and everything that you could ever want. Okay. It says, "And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, verse 11. It says, But put forth thine hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face." All right. So Satan is telling the Lord that, okay, yeah, you've been keeping Job in his good standing, but pretty much like a friendly bet. Like I bet you, if I go down there and tempt him and mess him up a little bit, he's going to turn away from you. All right, but then it continuing on, it says, "And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power." All right, only upon himself, but put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. All right, so this is Satan right here obeying the Lord's will, telling him what to do. Okay, he's telling him, go do whatever you want. It's all in your hands. To go and tip Job, but whatever you do, just don't physically hurt him. All right, so it says verse 13. It says, and there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, saying, the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabians fell upon them, and took them away. They have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. All right. This is one of the first things that happened to Job. All right. His cattle being escaped and his servants being killed. All right. Continuing on, it says, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven and hath burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I am the only one that escaped alone to tell thee. All right, more destruction to Job's riches, to his cattle. All right, but it says, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands, fell upon the camels and have carried them away, and slain the servants from the edge of the sword, and I am only escaped alone to tell thee. Again, it's continuing on. It says, while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. I only am escaped alone to tell thee. All right. So now his children is just died in a house, from just calamities that Satan is causing right now. All right, but it says, then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshiped and said, naked I came out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord had taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. It says, verse 22, in all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. All right, and again, back to the topic of the lesson. It fits perfectly because you just witnessed Job just go through a hell of a lot of things, and again, he still gave all praises to Yahweh Shemel Shah. All right, the Lord give it, the Lord take it away. All right, and then obviously if you go to the next chapter, that's when he's gonna start to deal with his wife, and his gonna hit him with the boils and so on and so forth. Let me see, I'm gonna try to grab it real quick. Yeah, after Job was pretty much smoked with sore boils, and everything else I just read right there in chapter 1. I'm gonna just jump straight to the point so I can get to my next precept. It says, then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. All right, after all this is going on, she told Job, curse God and die, curse Yahweh Shemel Shah and die. All right, but he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What shall we receive good? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? And all this did not Job sin with his lips. All right, so it's expected. All right, it's expected in the trials that we have to go to to be proven within Yahweh Shemel Shah. All right, it's easy. It's easy to praise the Lord when everything is all good, man. But do you have that integrity to stay with the Lord in the times of trouble? Call on the Lord in the times of trouble. When you're down. All right, but these are gonna be my last 2 precepts, and I'm gonna end this lesson off. Gotta hit it with the goodie. This is Sirach 2:4. It says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. All right, take these things cheerfully. All right, because we know that it's only going to get worse from here. All right, it's only going to get worse before it gets better, and it's only going to get better when we reach our kingdom. Okay, and so again, take cheerfully, be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. All right, and then I'm gonna end it off here with 2 Ezra 14:14. All right, it says, let go from the mortal thoughts and cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. All right. Let me grab that in the GNT. But that's pretty much backing up the point that, you know, everything that we're going through right now, you know, we can't mope on it. You know, we can't have that woe is me spirit, because again, every brother is going through something in some kind of manner. All right, some worse than others, but still, you know, it's not something that we're supposed to sit here and dwell about. All right, because it says at the end that more, you know, worse things are gonna happen later. Okay, what was it? 2 Esdras 14. This is 2 Esdras 14 and 14. It says, "Put earthly cares away from you. Throw down your human burdens and lay aside your weak human nature. Put all your anxieties aside and get ready to leave this world quickly." All right, you have seen many things already, but far worse things are about to happen. All right, as the world grows older and weaker, the evils that will come upon its people will multiply. All right, so again, you know, fleeing away from these mortal thoughts, man. All right, because at the end of the day, you know, we know what's to come if we was to continue to endure, you know, through all of this. All right, and again, the Lord has given us many examples, and you know, pretty much that many examples of men, of, you know, the different trials that our brothers have been through. Okay, that the men before time have been through, you know, for examples, you know, to make sure that we are okay to handle these situations. All right, but again, you know, you really only know who you're around, you know, when crazy shit is starting to happen, you know, and that's why the Lord has to test his men. Okay, so think it not strange. All right, when the Lord start turning up the dial even more. All right, but I pray that this lesson was edifying, straight to the point. Trying to get out of here, I want to give infinite honors and prayers to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who taught me the truth. Peace and salutations to the whole for the elect. You Akim, you Akwat, which is your brothers and sisters in Hebrew that believe. Shalom.